now. We can hear the rain at the studio.
Yeah, and it will be heavy at times. It's a very cold rain with those temperatures, 35, 36 degrees. They'll start to drop a little bit overnight, and that's when we'll start to see all that nasty sleet, freezing rain, and even some snow in spots mix in. So great start to April, huh?
Right.
And next week's looking better, though. We got two systems to begin the month of April. Again, that first one tonight with some rain out there now. Eventually, sleet, freezing rain, even some snow will start to mix in as we get after midnight tonight. Then a second system quickly follows that one as we go into Friday, lasting into Saturday. This one looking like it's going to bring mostly rain. Could see a little bit of freezing rain with this one, but I think it's going to be another mostly cold rain with that system. We could even see a few thunderstorms possible as we get into Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So with this first system, we do have winter storm warnings in effect for the counties in red. The best chance of seeing a little bit of higher ice accumulation north, south, and then west of there, some winter weather advisories. But as you go along I-90 and then into northern Iowa, most of this is going to stay pretty much just a cold rain with temperatures staying a little bit warmer, 35, 36 degrees for those areas. Right now, you can see a lot of moisture with this system, kind of just like cold rain for most of us right now, as it'll kind of flow from the southwest to the northeast and then eventually west to east as we get into tomorrow. Temperatures a pretty good couple degrees above freezing, which is why we're just seeing rain out there right now. 36 for Waseca, 37 for Blue Earth, still 36 as well into Windham. But those temperatures will start dropping a few degrees as we get after midnight. You can see about 2, 3 o'clock. All of us kind of right around the freezing mark north of I-90, 32 Mankato, 32 Waseca, 33 degrees for New Ulm. Now 1 degree drop, you're going to see a little bit more freezing rain. If it can stay around 33, 34 degrees, you'll probably just see a mostly cold rain. And then again along I-90 south into northern Iowa, temperatures stay closer to 35, 36 degrees, which will keep it mostly a rain, and then we'll stay around freezing through about 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will see those temperatures slightly warm up to about 34, 35 degrees to the east, but still on the back end of that system to the west into places like Slayton, Windham, Marshall, Redwood Falls, those temperatures staying around the freezing mark, which will lead to a longer period of some sleet, freezing rain, and even some snow. Now, the best chances of seeing maybe a 1/10 of inch to a 1/4 inch of ice is going to be from Mankato to the north into Hutchinson and then into the west into places like Marshall, Redwood Falls, where in the back end of that system, again, it is going to be colder. On the snow terms of thing, really not worried about any snow for most of us, maybe a little of a slushy accumulation from Hutchinson to the north and then into places like Yellow Medicine County, Lyon County, where it'll be a little bit colder tomorrow afternoon. Could see a slushy inch or two kind of mixing with that. Now we'll time both these systems up as we go through tonight. Again, you can see that layer of pink basically from about I-35 north of Waseca through New Ulm into Redwood Falls. Again, the better chance of seeing about a 1/10 of inch to a 1/4 inch of ice. South of there staying mostly a cold rain. And then it kind of transitions as you go into tomorrow morning in the afternoon to the southeast, mostly rain, but to the northwest and to the west, still got some freezing rain, sleet, and even some snow mixing in. And then as this moves to the northeast, we'll continue to see that trend into tomorrow afternoon. And then this thing finally starts to lift off to the northeast as we get into tomorrow evening. We'll get a little bit of a break Thursday night into Friday morning. And then we see our second system arrive. That could start off as a little bit of freezing rain, but eventually I think all of us kind of turn to a cold rain as we get towards 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. And then could see a couple little thunderstorms start to mix in as we get into Friday night, especially I would say from Mankato to the east along I-35 and then to the south into northern Iowa. Low-level severe threat as we get into Friday. Not a lot of energy with the temperatures basically staying around 40 degrees, but there will be just enough little bit of shear to get a couple storms to fire up as we get into Friday evening. Cold on Saturday, northwest breezy winds, and then we finally start to warm up as we go into Easter. Rob's in with sports after the break.